Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin on the 28th of July 2014. I'm Shane Silva. Let's start off with a look at your headlines. Drought in the north and east intensifies, heavy rainfall in the central hills. JVP leader admitted to the National Hospital following a road accident. 157 asylum seekers brought ashore to the Australian mainland, 2 boat owners arrested in India. Businessman shot in Tudalla jail, 2 police teams deployed to investigate the murder. Residents of the north and eastern provinces as well as those in the north central province are being severely affected by the extreme drought conditions.
This is the situation in the Kimni area and Trincomalee. Water levels in tanks and rivers have decreased drastically due to the extreme dry weather. Water levels of wells have also decreased. Farmers in the area have also been severely inconvenienced due to this. The drought has also affected the animal population living in the area. Areas such as Surangal, Maniarasankulam, Ailadi and Vattamudu are facing a drinking water crisis. Residents state that water is being distributed by bowsers. However, they charge that it does not occur on a daily basis.
We don't have water in our wells. We do not receive rain and we do not have drinking water. There is no water in the wells and we have insufficient water for our farmlands. It's hard for people to survive.
The drought has also affected a number of areas in the northern province. According to our correspondent, residents in a number of areas are suffering from a lack of drinking water as well as water for agricultural purposes. The drought has also taken a toll on small-scale fishermen as the water levels of the Irinamadu Reserve dropped by 11 feet. The water levels of the Kanagambige tank has also decreased, according to a correspondent in the area. 800 families have been affected as a result of the water levels of the Sundikulam tank receding. The extreme weather has also had an effect on the Mullaitivu district as water levels of a number of tanks in the area have witnessed a sharp decrease. Well waters have become scarce and farmers have been severely inconvenienced due to the lack of water. Water distribution takes place through the intervention of the Pradeshia Sabha. However, area residents claim that the water is insufficient to meet their daily water needs.
While several districts are blighted with drought, some parts of the island are experiencing heavy rainfall. The Met Department forecasts, however, that the rainy conditions will begin to recede gradually from tomorrow.
Heavy mist has been experienced in the New Aurelia district. Our reporters say vehicular movement was hampered by the dense mist. Misty conditions were reported from several locations across the district this morning. New Aurelia District Secretary DPG Kumarasiri says the mist is heaviest in the mornings and evenings on the Hatton New Aurelia Road, the Gampula New Aurelia Road and the Valimada New Aurelia Road. Motorists have been requested to exercise caution when using these roads. Meanwhile, the Met Department is forecasting temporary localized strong winds of up to 60 km per hour in the Central Hills. The Met Department also notes that there is a possibility of strong winds in other parts of the island.
The drying up of the Verwata Ulallava tank in the Kukulapula Mahiyangana area has forced nearly 300 families to resort to survive on mud water.
Excavating land in search of water has become a daily task for these area residents as the drought has taken a toll on their water sources. Even discovering muddy water has become a difficult task. No matter how little they find, mothers work tirelessly to find sources of water so that they can quench the thirst of their children. The families residing here use this tank to obtain water. However, the tank has completely dried up.
We have to walk about 3 to 4 kilometers to draw water to bathe the child. We don't have drinking water. We can't head to the river as there are elephants at dawn. There have been instances where the holes used to search for water had been covered up by elephants. We dig them again in fright because we use this water to drink, bathe and wash our clothes.
Stepping away from your local news for the moment, Australia's Immigration and Border Protection Minister Scott Morrison says that the 157 asylum seekers who were held on a customs ship for almost a month are economic migrants and do not face persecution if they are sent back to India. The minister's claims come before the 157 are being processed by authorities. The asylum seekers began arriving on mainland Australia today after more than a month at sea. Stephanie Lazarus reports.
Dry land at last. The asylum seekers, including 37 children, have been transferred to Western Australia's Curtin Immigration Detention Centre. Indian consular officials will be at the detention centre to help determine identity and residency, but Morrison says asylum claims for the group will not be processed. Morrison did not say what would happen to the asylum seekers if they were not accepted by India. Speaking to ABC Radio, the minister stressed they will not be resettled in Australia and has released little information about the group.
These people have come from the safe country of India. They haven't come from Sri Lanka. They haven't come from any of those other countries, Afghanistan or anything like that. They have come from India. And as a result, where they are safe in India, a passage to Australia here is nothing more than an economic migration seeking to illegally enter Australia.
According to Australian media reports, India's High Commissioner to Australia, Birenanda, says India has not been officially asked yet to interview the 157 asylum seekers at Curtin, although he says staff are ready. He says India will take back any of the asylum seekers who are Indian nationals. Human rights lawyers argue the group are now in Australia and should be offered the full protection of Australian law. Australian media also reported that a full bench High Court hearing next week to determine the fate of the asylum seekers will no longer go ahead, and lawyers acting for the asylum seekers flagged the possibility of a claim of false imprisonment against the government. High Court Justice Kenneth Hayne recalled the matter for a special hearing today. The agreed High Court case was predicated on a legal challenge to the detention of the asylum seekers at sea, but Hayne said the case had been overtaken by events. Hayne vacated the original case today and asked the parties to amend their pleadings as the case was no longer an urgent appeal. No date has been set for a subsequent hearing. Meanwhile, Indian media reported that Indian police have arrested 2 people whose boat was used to ferry the asylum seekers. The arrest comes after India accepted the Australian government's request to probe the trafficking of 157 asylum seekers from India. The arrest was made based on information provided by the Australian immigration and customs officials about the said boat. Stephanie Lazarus, News First.
Moving back to news from here at home now, the leader of the JVP, Anurukumara Dissanayaka, who met with a road accident, was admitted to the accident ward of the National Hospital in Colombo this afternoon. Hospital Director Dr. Anil Joasinghe said parliamentarian Dissanayaka sustained minor wounds and that his condition was not serious.
The accident occurred at about 11:40 this morning in the Holipiti area in Ratnapura. MP Anurukumara Dissanayaka was admitted to the Ratnapura General Hospital and later transferred to the National Hospital in Colombo.
The impact was mostly to his chest area. We would like to state that his condition is stable and is not serious. The medical personnel are currently conducting tests to ascertain if he sustained internal injuries. We would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who inquired after him and sent out their wishes for a speedy recovery for Comrade Anura Kumara.
The police say the accident occurred when the pickup truck carrying the JVP leader had overtaken a tipper and collided with an oncoming tipper while travelling from Panadura to Ratnapura. The driver of the pickup truck, who also sustained minor injuries in the incident, was also admitted to the Colombo National Hospital.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that those who opposed late Minister CWW Kannangara's Free Education Act in the past are at present opposing the government's program for free education. The President made this statement at an event organized to donate shoes and additional uniform kits to students from rural schools for the first time.
The event was held at the BMI stage in Colombo. The President today symbolically presented shoes and uniform kits to students from rural schools covering all 25 districts in the island. The government has allocated a sum of 1.1 billion rupees for this program. I believe today is a very important day in making free education more meaningful. I believe that if I were to say that we spend most of our time today with the country's children, that statement would be correct. Every day, children from all over the country come to Temple Trees. At times when I converse with them, they tell me not only all the news from their school and the village, but they also give me all the news about our MPs and ministers. We have always maintained that the children of this country must never face the problems that we are facing.
A special occasion was marked today by one of the several development projects underway in the Colombo city. The event was held at the Trace Expert City Complex.
The building complex opposite the Maradana Technical College, comprising of buildings belonging to the Department of Railways, a storage facility and factory, are being redeveloped at present. The environs have been renamed Trace Expert City, a project that has been undertaken keeping in mind the future of the country. The project has been undertaken by the Urban Development Authority with the support of the Army under the guidance of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. The premises of the first company to take up residence in the complex was declared open today under the auspices of Secretary to the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The company in question is CodeGen, a modern ICT company providing software solutions for the international tourism industry. CodeGen's new office premises occupy a 30,000 square foot area of Trace Expert City.
The Trace has taken an initiative to build an expert city. So that particular initiative has been taken up by Honorable Defence Secretary, and under his guidance he has built these old warehouse buildings at Tripoli Market and reconstructed exactly the way it used to be before, with the same architecture but with the modern amenities and modern facilities. Today it has been completed by the Army, and they have done a tremendous job, and today is the first day the CodeGen has moved into this beautiful expert city.
The primary purpose of Trace Expert City is to serve as an international trading hub.
The nominations committees of several major political parties are convening this week with the Uva Provincial Council election around the corner.
The UPFA's nominations committee met today. The committee convened under the auspices of Minister W.D.J. Senaviratne, Honorable Priyadashna Yapa and A.H.M. Fauzi.
All of the former councillors and their new additions to our group were subjected to interviews today by the party. I think that all of them are equally capable of undertaking the task of taking the Uva province forward. I must state that while His Excellency the President takes the country on a journey towards becoming the wonder of Asia, the Uva province will be at the forefront of that journey.
The Democratic Party nominations committee Convened. The Janata Vimukti Peramuna meanwhile notes that its nominations are being prepared at the district level. Up next is a battle for Uva.
I will not say that there is no shortcomings in our government. I will not say that there are no accusations against our ministers. There may be accusations. If there are such accusations, do not hold it back in your hearts. You have a right. I am Minister Dallas Alaperuma, and if I am stealing from my ministry, if I am misusing state property, if I am distilling alcohol, or if I am engaged in any illegal activity, the people of my district have a right to come forward and say, Dallas, you are a rogue. There are persons who prop up within the party who get themselves out.
No one needs to go on processions, but money for these processions is coming from the American Embassy. I can clearly say that the Janata Vimukti Peramuna has become a cat's paw of the American Embassy today. You must be careful. They are trying to prevent this victorious journey. They are afraid. They say we are distributing goods and getting votes. If that is the case, then the Northwestern Provincial Council is very different to this. They are afraid. They say we are distributing goods and getting votes. If that is the case, then the Northwestern Provincial Council is very different to this.
The Badula district in the Uva province is a very picturesque area. What you see behind me is the Dunghindal. Today the Newsfirst team is in Badula to look into the issues faced by the residents of this district.
Hidden underneath the beauty of Badula are the woes of the people residing here. We witnessed this dangerous rickety bridge in the Passara area. This bridge, which was constructed based on a special request in 2005, connects the villages of Galge Kumura and Vegala. Since then, it has been used by hundreds of people and remains the only road usable by school children.
If someone died, then officials will turn their attention on this, and they would come here. No one looks into this issue. If anyone does come here, that is simply because of an election.
They give promises, but they are never fulfilled.
It would be better if they could build a concrete bridge rather than providing temporary solutions like repairing the bridge with wood.
On to a story that made the headlines tonight. Now, 2 police teams have been appointed to look into the murder of a businessman in the Tudala area in Jala. The shooting took place at around 8:30 a.m. when the businessman was travelling to the bank to deposit money.
The deceased has been identified as a resident of Veigahawata, Dalugama. The shooting took place as a victim was travelling to the Jala town along with his wife. 2 individuals who had arrived on a motorbike had blocked the victim's vehicle and a scuffle had also broken out. The shooters, however, were unable to steal the money which was in the possession of the businessman. The businessman, who was shot thrice, was admitted to the Ragama Teaching Hospital where he succumbed to his injuries at around 11:30. The magisterial inquiry into the murder was carried out this afternoon. The 72-year-old victim was a former member of the Navy rugby team.
The United States has expressed deep concern over the circumstances surrounding the cancellation of a journalism training session in Colombo over the weekend.
Issuing a statement, the US Embassy in Colombo says the eventual cancellation of this training, which was focused on digital security for Jaffna-based journalists and financially supported by the US government, was accompanied by a series of threats and intimidation of training participants and other journalists around the country, including threats against at least one journalist who made a statement criticizing the government over the cancellation. The statement reads that this marks the 3rd training session to be cancelled in Sri Lanka since May, including others that were disrupted by well-organized protesters threatening harm to the training participants. Furthermore, the embassy adds that even when present, the police have not provided security for threatened journalists or taken action against the groups making the threats. Separately, the US Embassy also expressed grave concern about threats and intimidation by security forces against journalists covering the July 25th Jaffna court proceedings related to an 11-year-old victim of sexual abuse, allegedly at the hands of Sri Lankan Navy personnel from the Karinagar Naval Base. The statement reads that these events continue a troubling pattern of impunity for those who interfere with both freedom of speech and freedom of assembly in Sri Lanka. The US Embassy notes that the US government has raised its concerns with the government of Sri Lanka and the Sri Lankan Embassy in Washington and strongly urged the government to take immediate steps to ensure the protection of fundamental rights for journalists and for all Sri Lankans. The final section of Circular Number 1 of 2014, issued in line with the nutrition program for school children, reads that the circular has been issued based on agreement between the Ministries of Economic Development, Health and Livestock and Rural Development. The connection between the nutrition program and the Economic Development Ministry is that it is the ministry that coordinates funds provided by the World Food Programme for this purpose. Since the purpose of the program is to ensure a healthy future generation, the Ministry of Health's involvement in the program could be considered essential rather than surprising. The Livestock Ministry's support too has been sought for the program in order to provide fresh milk for the school children. Against this backdrop, a problem arises as to which ministry is responsible for the distribution of medicinal herbal soup or kanda at schools in the North Central Province under this program. Although it has been ordered that this medicinal kanda be provided to children on 2 weekdays instead of food and fresh milk, questions arise as to the medicinal or for that matter nutritional value of this mixture. This is because there is no accepted certification. Given that there is no certification, certain persons may be able to create fear regarding this kanda mixture. The fact that the producer notes that this kanda mixture is a boon of the gods when introducing it opens the door for such questions. A statement allegedly made by the principal of a prominent school in Colombo 7 testifying to the quality of the kanda mixture in question is also debatable. The principal allegedly guarantees that students and teachers suffering from diseases including diabetes had these diseases controlled through consuming this medicinal kanda. While whether this statement can be attributed to the principal is questionable, if there is in fact widespread diabetes among the children of this school, then it is a national responsibility to ascertain the cause. In a society that follows accepted health standards, it is necessary to ascertain if a kanda which allegedly controlled diabetes in students from a school in Colombo is suitable for students in the North Central Province. While the packet of kanda, which comprises of 1020 grams of rice and 330 grams of various plants, must be purchased at a cost of 700 rupees each, when it is prepared as per the manufacturer's instructions, each student receives 10 grams of rice. Given that the mixture has been made compulsory for 2 of the 5 weekdays, on 8 to 10 days of the month, students only receive 80 to 100 grams of rice under the nutrition program. Let alone diabetes, if this mixture in fact contains ingredients that control blood sugar levels, shouldn't a proper procedure be followed to ascertain the suitability of this program for an area like the North Central Province, which is far from a high nutrition zone? Senior Minister for Food and Nutrition, this is over to you.
Leader of the Janaseta Peramuna, Venerable Batharamula Sila Ratanatero, convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
Certain parliamentarians and ministers who assaulted police officers and torched vehicles claim to fear the Sirasa media organization who showed the footage of those incidents. We condemn the attempts made to insult Sirasa. Sirasa renders an immense service to the country in comparison to other channels. We should be afraid of all media institutions, not only Sirasa, if we have committed any wrong.
The Ceylon Canteen Owners Association charges that they cannot be satisfied with the standards adhered to by the canteen of the Consumer Affairs Authority. The association made this allegation during a media briefing held in Colombo. However, the Consumer Affairs Authority denies these charges.
This is the state of the Consumer Affairs Authority canteen. The food is unclean. The rice is kept out in the open. Look at the manner in which the food is kept. This should be a model canteen.
The Canteen Owners Association convened a meeting yesterday and claimed that the canteen of the Consumer Affairs Authority is unhygienic. It is sad to state that the authority has no such canteen. There was a Satosa welfare canteen and that has already been sealed.
The Consumer Affairs Authority states that it is their responsibility to protect the public, and they also noted that their actions are made public through the media in order to raise awareness among the public.
While this location exists, they raid the establishments of innocent people in order to get the reward that is given to officers of the authority every 6 months. They find these innocent people and boast about their work through the media.
We will take steps to raid all canteens from tomorrow onwards, and we will take steps against any canteen that violated the Consumer Affairs Authority Act. We will initiate legal action against them regardless of who they are. On Business News tonight, over the past few months, the price of an ounce of gold has dropped nearly $30 US. The current price of an ounce of gold stands at $1,303 US.
The value of an ounce of gold in the world market stands at $1,300 US at present, as opposed to the value of an ounce of gold which stood at $1,330 US in the beginning of the month of July. However, the gold prices, which saw a downfall later on in the month, is currently trading at $1,300 US an ounce. The gold prices, which peaked at $1,800 US an ounce in the year 2012, fell to $1,200 US in 2013. However, gold prices have been stable overall over the past 6 months.
The Sri Lanka chapter of the World Association for Psychosocial Rehabilitation was inaugurated in Colombo today.
The inauguration event, organized by the National Mental Health Council or Sahanaya, was graced by a group including mental health professionals and representatives of the health sector. Renowned consultant psychiatrist Dr. Afzal Javed was the chief guest at the event.
We do have disability acts in many countries, but I think Sri Lanka is the pioneer in terms of having a constitutional position and obligation that really speaks very high about what Sri Lankans and what Sri Lankan professionals and general population feel about their mental health.
Well, Australia continues to dominate the medal table at the 20th edition of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Now, although the Sri Lankan Rugby Sevens team, captained by Fazil Marija, failed to clinch a Commonwealth Games medal in Glasgow 2014, they did come away with an exceptional victory. Here's a look.
The Sri Lankan Sevens team was defeated by Australia, England and Uganda in Group D at the Commonwealth Games. Ranking last in Group D, Sri Lanka had to play for the plate. In the plate final, a resurgent Sri Lanka comprehensively beat Trinidad and Tobago 4-3-7. South Africa were the eventual gold medalists in 7 rugby, while New Zealand and Australia won silver and bronze respectively. Sri Lankan boxer Manjuvani Arachi fought in the round of 16 in the 56 kg weight category today, where he was defeated by his opponent Ayobonga Sonchika of South Africa. Madhushan Gamage fought today in the round of 16 in the 49 kg weight class. He was defeated by his Indian opponent Devendra Laishram.
Had a disappointing day today as Madhushan Gamage, Manju Wanyarachi and Madhuranga Patrige failed to proceed to the next round. Madhushan Gamage was defeated by an Indian 2-1. Manju Wanyarachi defeated by South African 3-love, and Madhuranga Patrige also defeated 3-love at the hands of Guyana. Now later on in the day, Sri Lankan women's sprinter Chandrika will be taking on in the second round of the 400 meters women's track event. Of course, the Champion Network will have all those details. Stay with us as you have all the details. Now it's back to the newsroom.
Thank you, Zulfik. Following a grueling final day peppered with rain, intervals at the SSC in Colombo, Sri Lanka were kept at bay today by a determined South African lower order who managed to secure a draw against the odds, handing South Africa a 1-0 victory in the two-test series. Chasing a target of 369 runs for victory, the visiting Proteas resumed their second innings on an overnight score of 38 for 1. The fifth day of the second test was plagued by rain and play was suspended on 3 occasions. The Sri Lankan spinners took the Sri Lankans within striking distance of a victory in the second test. However, the South African batsmen endured and ended the day on 159 for the loss of 8 wickets. Rangana Herath bagged 5 wickets while Dilruwan Pereira picked up 3. The draw ensured that South Africa won the 2-match test series 1-0 and regained their position at the top of the ICC rankings. Mahela Jayawardena was named the man of the match.
It's a huge wicket that gone. Taken, I think he's gone. He's taken. That was held back by Rangana Herath.
And he keeps that one out as well. Time is called by the umpire. Handshakes all round in the middle. What a tense test match. Terrific stuff, and there are some high fives.
A wonderful 165 to set.
And that's a look at this edition of Primetime News. Thanks a lot for joining me. I'm Shen Silva. Take care and good night.